And you see, the building artisans are just our foot soldiers.
So what did your guild do in that particular building to see how they could prevent or complement the work?
Let me also tell you this. Most of the estates, you hardly gain entrance, access, while they are working there. But because we have the artisans and some colleagues who give us very useful information about the quality of work, then when you pass this to those in charge, you know, bureaucratic bottlenecks slows down the immediate action that is required.
I'm trying to find out. Pardon me for butting. I mean, if you're a national building collapse prevention guild, and you say most of those who are working don't give you access, I imagine it's not just once that has happened. It's happened several times, hasn't it?
Yes. Let me say this to you. It's a confession. It happens regularly. Most of these estates, they suffer defect. Even if a building collapses, it will be covered up, evacuated overnight. Why? Because the law is there. The law is not friendly with them. That whenever a building collapses on your side, that land becomes confiscated by the government. So it is only when the case has become an extreme one, like somebody is lost on that side, that is when they find it difficult to manage it, to conceal it.
So, can't we then infer that it appears as though those laws are working against ensuring that buildings don't collapse? Because if an accident occurs in a place, for instance, nobody prays to go and have an accident. You don't go in and take over the person's car because, look, this has happened. So people must see that, look, this law is here to help us, and as such, we have to volunteer information. Has that ever crossed anyone's mind?
Yes. You know, it works both ways. It throws fears into those who are developing. It makes them be cautious that, please, I don't want to lose my land. It's a good measure. But nonetheless, it is left for those who are vigilant to discover anomalies within any...
That's the more reason why they should let you in, because if you don't want to lose your land and you know that you know, a building that has a defect can be detected on time, then you know they should be able to get help when help is needed.
You see, people must protect their personal interests. For instance, on Lagos Island, they will be having frequent collapse of building on Lagos Island. Our Lagos Island cell, led by Bajabia Amila and Fashola, were how to pay visits to the Oba of Lagos, Oba Akilolu, the Oloweko, over these frequent collapse of buildings on Lagos Island. We knew Lagos Island to be the provider of those Brazilian emancipados, experts in building construction that work all over the old cities in West Africa. Some of those buildings are still existing. Then what a contradiction when that part of a country is now the citadel of building collapse. The Oba sounded helpless, and he was very frank that, look, except the governor of the state set up a task force headed not by a policeman, and he who had a police background, but by a top military officer to demolish all these distressed buildings. And right there, he asked one of his chiefs, that I know some of you could be conniving with some government officials and developers, that what about that building that was stopped from proceeding in construction? the chief replied, it had been roofed overnight. He said, you see, these people, they will arm themselves, they will walk overnight. So it was no longer an easy situation for those of us who are campaigning against collapse of buildings.
So what can we do to avert this?
Yes, we are making a lot of progress. You see, we are so many, and we have covered Lagos and beyond. And every location we have ourselves. For instance, we are paying more importance to prevention in this area. Look at the beginning of this year. Our Kushofe said organized a program on foundation for the on foundation or against foundation failure. Because if you look at Mende area, Kushofe, Bagada, Arowojobe, and all of them, you have frequent collapse of building due to foundation failure. So we brought all the drillers and geotechnical engineers together to rub my brainstorm on the way out. Then on the following month in mainland, the Butimeta, that happened to be the center of the largest plant market in Nigeria, Okoba. So all these people were invited to BCPG forum in Butimeta, where we discovered that timber that are being used for construction of the roof are becoming very light in sizes, and most of them are of premature timber. Most of the yes.
So it could be even something like that. But this is also worrisome because we see that in that place where the building collapsed, there are other high rises belonging to the same developer.
Yes.
Now the question is, do you think that those other high rises should be tested?
Well, I've recommended that they should be tested. That was what we did in Agungi, because some of our members who noticed the construction then alerted us, and they demolished those buildings that surround.
Just quickly before we wrap up, I mean, if you say they don't let you in some of those areas, have you also reviewed how your approach is? Because you have to ask yourself, okay, what am I doing wrong? Why didn't I let him in? If you're there to help and not to seize the land.
I must tell you this. You see, it still requires some enlightenment. Some will appreciate your coming in to advise them, but some of them who are after profit, who are not, who deliberately shortchange on quality, will be reluctant to encourage you to gain entrance.
All right, Mr. Kunle Awobudu is the National President, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's a pleasure.
All right, and we'll be back in a minute.